So, what's a homeschool mom to do so she doesn't lose her mind? I'm going to give you 11 tips, 11 things that you can practically include in your homeschool routine. It'll take some practice. It won't happen overnight. You'll have to practice to incorporate it and make it feel natural and real. First tip, get curious about your anger. You need to wonder, why am I feeling what I'm feeling? What's happening before you feel the way you feel? Why does someone's reaction or engagement or this thing they're doing trigger a certain feeling in you? The second is to observe yourself. If you're feeling angry, go lay on a yoga mat or a bed. Go outside. Go walk to the mailbox. Wait till the angry heat passes. Ask for understanding. What is going on? And listen to yourself. Big emotions only take 90 minutes or 90 seconds. We usually experience them for just 90 seconds. So wait and observe yourself. The third thing is to actually go away when you're in a moment of anger, specifically somewhere where your kids are not. So sometimes you are just too overwhelmed. You're in a state of overwhelm and it takes less stimuli to irritate you. So there is no value in you feeling frustrated and angry and whatever feelings that are making you feel like you're going to lose your mind, and stay with the kids. The combination doesn't always work. So even if it means you're taking a walk around the block, even if it means to go into the other room, practice the pause and take a break. The fourth thing is to accept that angry outbursts will interrupt your homeschool days, your kids and yours. Kids are learning to manage their big emotions as we are too. They have less experience dealing with it. They have so many fewer years learning to deal with it. And I don't know about you, but me being a full-grown adult and mother did not mean that I was practiced in it myself. So you put together a mom who has too much going on, and kids that don't know how to deal with their big emotions, and a mom that doesn't know how to deal with her own big emotions, and kids that obviously don't know how to deal with theirs. And that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of potential frustration. So you're going to accept that sometimes there will be angry outbursts and people will feel frustrated. Homeschool mom reality. Anger happens spontaneously. It usually interrupts stuff, usually important stuff that you need to get done now. Or you need to leave to go to grandma's house now. And it's usually then that you'll experience that interruption. The fourth thing to tell you is to breathe, 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 and breathe slowly. Breathing, that whole breathing thing that people talk about, is actually effective. It is like putting your foot slowly on a brake, not the gas, putting it on the brake and slowing down all of the physiological mechanisms that help us come out of that fight or flight or that intensity. So breathe slowly, deeply, and hold it as long as you can, and then exhale slowly and hold it. Try doing that 3 times, 4 times, and wait while you breathe. You can also write down your thoughts. Writing facilitates understanding yourself. So it may take some time. This is not an overnight thing where you figure out how to not lose your mind in 5 minutes. Nope, not going to say that. That is not a thing. Nobody can tell you that. But you can do this. Write down your thoughts. Over the course of time, you will begin to understand what is the story that you're telling yourself in a moment of frustration with your child or with whatever the scenario is. What got you exasperated? Okay, now that you've written it down, written that it annoyed you to watch your kid drawing in the corner of the math workbook, ask yourself, why did you feel angry? Write your answer. Nobody needs to know. It can be goofy. It's always goofy. It's almost always goofy. Some goofy reason. because I couldn't get the dishes done this morning and the mailbox guy looked at me funny. It could be goofy, but there's always a reason. Just write it down. Or how about this one? She wrote that thing in the corner of the math workbook and it made me feel angry. And you can write your answers such as, does she never do what I ask? Just do the question already. And then later on, after you've written that stuff down a few times in a cooler moment, you can look at that and consider why you need her to care about answering that thing right now. Or answer whatever the challenge or the scenario is in front of you. The next tip I'd give you is to recognize your underlying concerns. What's underneath your thoughts? There's always a story behind the thoughts, and sometimes there's a need that's not being addressed underlying the thoughts. Do you need to know if she'll get that math concept and not grow up unable to apply to a university program? Like maybe that's not the goal. Maybe when you say it out loud, you go, is that really what my goal is? To get my child into a certain university program? But it's important for you to actually declare it and say, this is actually what I'm really thinking. Or are you afraid of, you just are uncomfortable with math in the first place, so you're worried that she's not getting what you need her to get? Are you feeling rushed because you need to move to another activity and you don't want to invest any more time or energy into this one? Consider your underlying concerns. They matter, but we have to decide how to actually address them. And you can't know how to address your concerns if you don't know what they are. Sometimes, my next tip, doing nothing is the best option when you're feeling angry. Every time you're angry, you can take a break from most of the kids' behaviors until a time when you're no longer in that triggered space. Then you can decide what to do. Most scenarios don't worsen by doing nothing. Most scenarios. Child running into the street, probably, but most scenarios. You can always return back to it. The next tip is to determine how you want to engage your child. Like actually decide, how are you going to engage? Who is my best self as the best self of you as a homeschool mom or parent? How are you deciding to show up in your home? First, I just want to affirm that's an amazing thing to do, and to actually visualize and imagine that this is how you're going to show up when your child loses it because they threw something at another sibling and it was all because they wanted their something. Being vague here because I think you and I can both fill in gaps of all possible stories, but really determine how you're going to engage your child in that moment, because you can imagine those scenarios. So then just stop for a moment and say, who is your best self? Who is your best homeschool mom self in that scenario? Do you want them to cool down so they can try again to speak respectfully to you? Do you want them to have another chore in place of the one they were asked to do but didn't do? Do you want them to get a hug and ask them how they're feeling or what they need? What do they need to be heard on? But your goal, whatever it is to plan before you act. Decide how you want to show up in your homeschool life. And the last thing is to expect you won't hit the sweet spot every time. And be gracious and forgiving when you even engage it like you fill in the blank. Even then. If anger is a challenge for you, like it has been for me, remind yourself that you are learning right alongside your child. Be as gracious with yourself as you are with them. And if maybe that's not a relationship that you actually would want to compare it to, because maybe you just don't want to be gracious with them and you aren't that gracious with yourself. So, hey, how about with your girlfriend who is coming to you and saying, I lost it. I'm losing my mind. I'm so frustrated. And then they share a story with you that you have to agree they probably shouldn't have acted in a certain way. But what are you going to say to them? No, you should never do that. I can't believe you did that. How horrible of you. You're a horrible mother. We should take the children away. Or, yeah, I've been there. Felt that, frustrated. I'm sorry. That doesn't feel good. yeah, maybe there's a place to say, yeah, probably that wasn't the ideal way to engage. But you already know that. I already know that. I've done it, been there, done that. And I want to encourage you. Let's talk about how you can actually show up in the way you want to show up. That's how you would speak to your friend. So that's how you can speak to yourself. Remember, you're teaching your children how to deal with anger and all their big emotions so that they won't lose their minds either. And when you've created a plan for your feelings, your big emotions, you will no longer be losing your mind. If you'd like to schedule a consultation with me to consider a gentle, accountable approach to coaching so that you have me walking alongside you to address your big emotions, connect with me. There will be a link to book a consultation down below. Have a good day.